We're always told to make smart, rational decisions. Weigh the pros and cons. But what if the biggest choices in life, the ones that really, really shape who we are, aren't about logic at all? Today, we're going to talk about a tool, a powerful mental framework called the rocking chair test. It's all about making sure the story you're writing right now is one you'll look back on and be truly proud of.
So, let me ask you this. When you're facing a big life decision, do you rely on fear, money, or what other people think? Come on, be honest with yourself. Think about the last big crossroads you were at. A choice about where to live, a relationship, maybe a health decision. What was the loudest voice in your head? Was it that gut-level fear of the unknown? Or, the practical voice, the one looking at the bank account telling you what's sensible? Or maybe it was that little whisper, the one that's all about what your family, your friends, what everyone else expects from you. These are the usual suspects, right? And they're the ones that usually end up driving the car.
But here's the thing, and it's kind of a gut punch. Decades of research on happiness tell us that when people look back at the end of their lives, they don't really regret their failures. Seriously, the business that tanked, the investment that went sideways, that stuff fades. What really haunts people are the chances they didn't take, the what-ifs, the love they never expressed, the passion they never pursued, the apology they never made. These are the regrets of omission, the things we didn't do. And that's exactly what the rocking chair test is for. It's a tool designed to fight that future regret, to make sure the person you are today is making choices the person you'll be at 90 will thank you for.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the truth about regret, then get into why we're so wired to choose comfort. Next up is the rocking chair test itself, and then we'll get super practical about how to use it. We'll talk about why courage now means peace later, and we'll wrap up with a gentle challenge for you today.
All right, let's get into it. The truth about regret. To really get why this test works so well, we gotta understand that there are basically two different kinds of regret pulling at us. And knowing the difference, well, that's the key to everything.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got regrets of action. These are for things we actually did. You said something dumb that hurt someone, or you took a financial gamble that just blew up in your face. And yeah, it stings, it's sharp, but here's the thing about our brains. They're amazing at healing. We learn from these mistakes, we apologize, we rationalize, we move on, the pain fades. But then there are the regrets of omission, the things we didn't do, the door you never knocked on, that trip you always said you'd take one day. This is a different beast entirely. Because it never happened, our minds can romanticize it into this perfect missed opportunity. And that kind of regret, man, it doesn't just fade. It can stick with you for a lifetime.
So that leads to the big question, right? Why do we choose comfort? If we know that not acting is what's going to haunt us later, why is it so hard to just do the thing? Well, turns out it's not a flaw in your character. It's actually a feature baked right into our brains. It comes down to this little quirk of our minds called present bias. Basically, your brain wants the good stuff now. It would much rather have one cookie right this second than be promised a whole box of cookies next week. See, it's all about immediate reward, instant comfort. And look, for our ancestors, that made a ton of sense. The future was a big question mark. But today, that same programming causes us to trade away massive long-term fulfillment for just a tiny bit of comfort and safety in the here and now. And we're not just talking about small stuff like choosing the couch or for going for a walk. This bias really rears its head in those high-stakes decisions, especially as we get older. Things like, should we move closer to the grandkids or just stay put where it's familiar? Should I finally start that project I've been dreaming about, or is it just too much trouble? Should I try to fix that broken relationship, or is it easier to just let it go? In all of those big moments, present bias is that little voice whispering, hey, just stay comfortable, don't rock the boat. The rocking chair test, well, it's designed to be the voice that shouts right back.
Okay, so we know the problem, right? Our brains are wired for comfort, and that leads to regret. So how do we fight our own wiring? How do we hack the system? Well, that is where the rocking chair test comes in. It's a mental tool for a more courageous life.
Regret is the price of short-term thinking. Just let that sit for a second. We usually think the risky move is starting something new or making a big change, right? But what this idea tells us is that the biggest risk of all is doing nothing. The biggest risk is letting your fear today dictate how you'll feel for the rest of your life. That safe choice, it often ends up being the most expensive one you'll ever make.
So how does this actually work? Well, it's basically a three-step mental time travel trip. First, you project the regret. And I mean you really go there. Close your eyes, picture yourself at 90 years old, sitting in a rocking chair, looking back at this very moment, and you didn't do it. You played it safe. What does that feel like? That ache of a missed chance. Really feel it. Second, you listen for your future self's voice. From that wise 90-year-old perspective, you ask yourself, what really mattered in the end? Was it being safe? Or was it the moments of connection, of growth, of love? I think we all know what that voice is going to say. And finally, number 3, you do a bias check. You come back to the present moment, but now you're armed with this incredible wisdom from your future self, and you choose the path that aligns with that voice, not the voice of fear.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually use this thing? Let's get down to brass tacks. We're putting the test to work right now.
Here's how you can apply it today, and it's actually really simple. Step 1, isolate the decision. Forget all the complicated what-ifs. Just boil it down to a simple yes or no. Do I take that art class? Yes or no. Do I reach out to my brother? Yes or no. Simple. Step 2, practice that 90-year-old voice. That's where you do the mental time travel we just talked about. And step 3, prioritize connection and growth. Because 9 times out of 10, the wisdom you get from your future self is going to point you toward the choice that makes your world bigger and your relationships deeper, not the one that just keeps things the same.
And this right here, this is the question at the very heart of it all. If I choose this, what will I be proud of in 30 years? Notice it's not asking what's easiest or what makes the most sense on paper. It completely changes the goal. It's asking which path leads to a memory that will make me feel proud. And let's be real, pride doesn't come from taking the easy route. Pride comes from courage. It comes from choosing connection, choosing growth, especially when it's the harder thing to do. This question is the ultimate filter for a life well lived.
Now, let's be clear. This isn't about being reckless. It's not about throwing caution to the wind. It's the opposite. It's about tapping into the wisdom you already have deep inside you to play the long game for your own happiness. It's about courage now for peace later.
So what's the bottom line? The rocking chair test is basically a compass. It points you toward your most authentic self. And when you start making decisions that line up with your true values, something amazing happens. You feel this deep, unshakable sense of peace. You stop just reacting to life, and you start consciously writing a final chapter you'll be genuinely proud of. One without that nagging question, what if?
And please, hear me on this. This doesn't mean you have to go and turn your entire life upside down tomorrow. It's all about the incredible power of just one. One choice. One brave phone call. One step in a new direction. That single act of choosing your future self's peace over your present self's comfort, it can create ripples that last for decades. Honestly, it's the best investment you can possibly make in your own future happiness.
Okay, we've gone through a lot here. The psychology of regret, the brain science that holds us back, and this amazing tool to help us break free. So now let's bring it all home with one simple, gentle challenge for you today. Look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The rocking chair test is a filter. It cuts through all the noise, the fear, the shoulds, the desire for comfort, and it leaves you with one clear path, the one that maximizes your growth and your connection with others. And really, isn't that what a well-lived life is all about?
So, here's your challenge. Think about one decision, just one, that you've been putting off because it feels hard or scary. Got it? Okay, now, just for a minute, ask your 90-year-old self these 2 questions. 1, what will I regret more? And 2, what will I be proud of? Don't try to force an answer. Just listen. Listen for what that wise future you has to say. You know, as we wrap this up, it really all comes back to that one simple truth we started with. The deepest regrets we have in life are almost always about the chances we didn't take because we were afraid. And the real magic of this rocking chair test is that it gives you a direct line to your future self. The one who knows what truly matters is authenticity and connection. It helps you align the choices you make today with the person you want to be then. Just remember, the choices you make today are what define the peace you will feel tomorrow.